Greetings and welcome back to another Perspectives. I am here with someone from India who was very gracious in volunteering his time to talk about a country that, quite frankly, I didn't think I'd get around to, just because, well, there aren't tons of Indians willing to volunteer their time who are also knowledgeable about the history and the circumstances in present-day India. So without further ado, I think we're going to be starting with the partition, the artificial partition of India and Pakistan in 1947, and we'll be moving from there into the present. But thank you for being here. Once again, I really appreciate your time. And
My pleasure, and thanks for introducing me in such an honorable manner, and hope your audience enjoys my time and even you.
I'm sure we all will. So let's talk about the partition of India. What were the
Yeah.
motivations behind the political motivations?
So the partition happened in 1947, and before the partition, there were two major parties in India that were running their politics. The first one was Congress Party, and which lasted their rule for 60 years after independence in India. And the second party was the Muslim League, which was their motive was that they wanted to create an Islamic state for Muslims because they felt that Muslims in India are unsafe under Hindus. So that was the only reason why Pakistan was created. But there is one more side to it. The British wanted to create a buffer state between Soviet Union and India. So what they did was they implemented a Cripps Commission in 1942, which stated that India would be one country, but the defense and the defense system would be handed over to the British. And that was something that the Indian government and also Muslim League did not agree, because Indian government wanted complete independence and Pakistan wanted an independent state of theirs. That is what happened. And plus, after that, in 1947, when the partition happened, the only state that got a majority of votes was Bangladesh. And the other, which consists of the current Pakistan, they didn't want it Pakistan in that time because there were no elections in those areas, which they are in right now. Plus, they have captured Balochistan, which was an independent state till 1948, and they got independence in 4th August 1947, even before India and Pakistan were an independent identity.
If I could ask a question about
Yeah,
maybe the historical tension between Muslims in India and Hindus. I mean, obviously, I'm hardly an expert on this, but my understanding is that this conflict or the tension had been centuries old.
yeah,
So
yeah,
I suppose there's some kind of, if you want a more peaceful relationship, maybe there's some kind
yeah.
of justification for the partition. What's your point of view on this?
What I think is that the Muslim League just created a disastrous position in India because before leaving, Lord Mountbatten, who was the last viceroy to India, he stated that the 560 independent princely states were allowed to either accede to Pakistan or go to India. So most of the territories signed the Treaty of Accession with India. And during that time, the princes who were Muslims, for example, the Nawabs, even if their population was majority of Hindu, like it was in Sindh, it was in, Hyderabad, which is now part of India. So these provinces, there were riots and curfews and mass killings by Muslim radicals of Hindus. So this is all, they wanted to do an ethnic cleansing of Hindus in those areas, which wanted to succeed into Pakistan. And plus, when Kashmir issue, you must have heard about it.
Yeah.
Kashmir
Maybe
issue
explain
is,
to the audience, though, Because I don't know
Yeah.
the audience.
Okay, Kashmir was a independent part of India, and they wanted to succeed, and they have signed the accession treaty with India. So when they signed the treaty, the Pakistani armed forces invaded Kashmir and occupied the northern areas of Kashmir, which they call today as Azad Kashmir, which means independent Kashmir. And we have half of the territory, and some of the part of, Aksai Chin, they call it. They have gifted it to China so that their relations with China would be friendly. And that is why China is helping them out in carrying out all these disturbances in India. That is why in India today we are boycotting Chinese goods, and Chinese goods sales have dropped to 40% in the last 5 to 6 months because China is supporting Pakistan in UN as well. They have used their veto power against the terrorist known as Masood Azhar. He has links with ISIS, and he has also conducted the Mumbai bomb blasts, which happened, and other attack on parliament as well. So that's that.
So there's been, even back then, there were some serious issues, I guess what you could call Muslim terrorism or conflicts between there.
Yeah.
At the current moment in time, I don't know the exact percentages, but the percentage of Muslims in India must be very, very small. What are the numbers?
17. It is 17 to 20%.
Really?
But
Okay.
just to help you with the statistic of Pakistan, before Pakistan, after Pakistan got its independence, the percentage of Hindus was 30%, and today they are only less than 2% in 2016.
Is this because they
So
were
that would tell you
pushed
that.
out,
Yeah.
or they were actually killed or
No,
murdered, or both?
they were killed, or else they were converted to Islam forcefully if
Okay.
they want to live.
Right.
And plus you cannot build temples like Hindu temples or anything. Or if the current Hindu temples are also attacked by Islamists in Pakistan, and
Yeah.
this is and the exact opposite case is in India. In India, we actually allow all religions to stay together. For a bit of information, I would like to tell you that Buddhism, Jainism, Hinduism, and Islam, as well as Christianity. Plus, we are the only country who refused Jews. And if you read the Israeli constitution, they have thanked India for letting them live a peaceful life.
So it shows that India, in terms of
Is a
religion,
tolerant
is
country.
incredibly tolerant.
Yeah.
But it doesn't seem. I guess this is typical. It shouldn't surprise anyone that
Yeah.
tolerance is reciprocated on the part of Pakistan, specifically Islam. I can't think of any religion, any major religion out there that's more
Yes.
intolerant than Islam when it
Yes.
comes to other people.
Yes. Before anyone considers ISIS as an Islamic state, they should also look at Pakistan, because Pakistan is the one country which is, sending terrorists to Syria as well. And they have planned to send terrorists to China in the Xinjiang province, I guess, the western province of China, where Muslim population lives.
The
So
Uyghurs,
they're planning.
I believe, yes. They're called the Uyghurs,
Yeah.
I think. But my impression of China is that China, the government,
China is a businessman.
yeah, they don't take bullshit.
Yeah.
If there's Muslim terrorist activities in China, China will crack
Yeah.
down on that, and they'll do whatever is
Yes.
necessary. They're not going to be like the West and say, "Oh well, this is kind of a problem, but we just need to talk about it." They'll take really hard action, I think.
Yes, they will, because they don't let the Muslims of China even to do their fasting period they have.
Yeah.
of the daytime of 12 hours, I guess.
Yeah.
So in China, they tell their Muslims only to fast for 1 or 2 hours. After that, they should, if they do their fast according to Islam, then they would be, executed.
Yeah.
So Muslims in China live in fear. On the other hand, Muslims in India are flourishing, but at the same time, they are threatening the Hindu population by their, extremist activities. And it
Yeah.
is not just only the fault of the Muslim population. There are some Hindus who, for the sake of money, power, and politics, are supporting these radicals, and they are preaching it as a freedom of speech and expression. You must haven't heard of the incident that happened in Jawaharlal University in Delhi, which is
I've
also
not
known
heard
as
about that. No.
yeah. So in JNU, the campus students, they consisted of both Hindu and Muslim population, were demanding for the breakup of this country. Like they were doing the slogans, "Go India, go back," "We want independence," and these students were supported by parties like the Communist Party of India, Marxist, plus Congress Party, because Congress Party has lost its dominance in this tenure. These elections were won by the Bharatiya Janata Party, which is BJP. So the BJP guys have won with absolute majority in India, and there is a ego problem of Congress because they have ruled for 60 years in India. They don't have the habit to be in opposition. So they are trying their best to crack down the BJP agenda by calling it Hindu terror and, naming people out on religion and telling that Hindus are becoming intolerant against Muslims and these things should stop. And so such shit is happening here.
It's absolutely incredible because you just see this over and over that, with the exception of China, the West in particular, but India obviously now too, and because it is so religiously tolerant, gives so much leeway and freedom to Islam. And what do the Muslims do? They walk all over it. And then they complain about China. Honestly, at this point in time, my own perspective is that China probably has the right approach, just because if China were allowed the weaker, the Muslim population to grow, the same things would happen there. Yeah. They have to be strict about it.
Before we proceed further, I just want to give you a perfect example of how India is tolerant regarding Islam. So there is a thing called the Muslim personal law or Sharia law. If you must have heard about it.
Yeah.
So in Sharia law, there is a provision for a man to divorce her women by just saying 3 times talaq, 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 and that girl or that woman who is married to that man is divorced. So this is really injustice against women. That is what I believe, even being a somewhat kind of a MGTOW guy. So what has happened is that this law of, divorcing women in just 3 sittings, like they just say talaq, 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 and divorce takes place. And this law has been banned in 21 Muslim countries, including Pakistan. And still this law is followed in India. And there are cases in which men have divorced women on WhatsApp, email, and even on phone, just calling her on her number and saying that word 3 times, and that woman is divorced according to Muslim law.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's the irony, that this law, including Pakistan, Bangladesh, then you got Iran. In Iran also, this law is banned. But still it is followed in India. And when Indian Constitution passed a resolution in last month to ban this law, the Muslims of India started shouting that we are interfering in their religion. That is what they said. And still that bill is not passed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there. I mean, this really hits close to home
Yeah,
because if you're too tolerant, it seems, then there are all kinds of bad things that can happen,
yeah,
especially with Islam. This seems to just
yeah.
always be the case.
The Hindu leaders in India have also studied the Islamic books. So, in those books, in the book of Hadith, I guess, in the book of Hadith, it is written that when Muslims are in majority in any country, when they come to majority, they have to wipe out the population which is in minority. And this is also known, this is called like Darul Islam, I guess, in their language, which means that if they come to majority, they'll wipe out the minority. And that is what their agenda looks like today.
I guess you could draw the conclusion that say in Europe, in the European context, where Islam is a growing problem, that my
Yeah,
impression is
I've
always
read
that
about this in Britain, I guess. In Britain,
yeah,
there is a rising Muslim population which is so intolerant that they have converted the good, lavish, and decent cities into their, their Islamic localities that we
yeah.
see in countries like Yemen and this Iran and stuff.
And I agree with you. It seems that Muslims and Islamists are just playing a long-term game in Europe. So right now they're still a minority, so they play nice and they try to, complain
Yeah,
about people being intolerant. But if they become, half the population, the majority,
that is their policy, I guess. That is their policy.
yeah, they'll try to wipe out the European population and the non-Muslims. And this is why I honestly think China's policy is I hate to say it, it's the best. You
Yes.
can't allow Islam to grow because
China
it's a
and
cancer.
even Russia, even Russia
Yes.
is good at showing people the mirror of reality of how to behave in someone in under the rule of law.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, I really think a good analogy. I mean, Islam's a bit like cancer. It starts small in one cell, and then if you allow it to fester, it grows and grows, and pretty soon it'll kill you.
Yeah.
And we're
You see, if Islam was if it was a true religion and it believes in conquering the world, but at the same time, when these Muslims they come to majority, they then start fighting between themselves, like the Sunni Shia wars and Sunni Kurdish wars, and blah 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 blah. They start fighting against themselves, so there is no peace, even if these people succeed. I mean, it is just an example and a small example of total destruction of humanity if this their propaganda succeeds day by day.
well, historically, I mean, the fact that there even is Islam in a place like Pakistan or India, I mean, that's a
Yeah,
consequence of invasion and conquest. I mean, Islam didn't originate there, so how did
yeah,
it get there?
yeah,
And I
yeah.
think we're seeing the
Uh,
same thing these days.
yeah, I'll tell you how Islam got in India. What happened was when Prophet Muhammad died. Uh, that time they divided themselves into Sunnis and Shias, if I'm not mistaken. So what happened was the Shia population, or else I would say the Prophet Muhammad's family, they were threatened by the Sunnis or Ahmadiyas, which are existing in Saudi right now. So they threatened the family of Prophet, and they sent the Prophet's family came running towards the east, and there was a king
Hello, hello.
gave a refuge to Prophet Muhammad's family in Sindh. And where is the second mosque in the history of Islam? It
Yep.
is in it is in Kerala, and no one goes there. Why? Because the people are black, they are short, and they don't represent the true class of Islam. which are the Arabs and the Turks. They are divided into classes as such that the topmost level of Muslim is an Arab or a Turk. After that, the Muslims which speak Urdu, like for example the Punjabi Muslims of Pakistan, they are considered second. Then comes the Muslims which speak Indian languages like Gujarati, Tamil, and Malayali, which are in Kerala, and the southern Muslims, the southern part of India. The Muslims that live there are considered really, really inferior. That is what the phenomenon is.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
and this is how Islam reached India. And even the second mosque, which was built, the second mosque in the world, that was built by the permission of a Hindu king which ruled Kerala at that time.
Yeah.
This is how tolerant, like, the Shias were given a refuge by India. So that is why I think we have good relations with Iran in today's time. Because we are building a port in Iran, and we are going to have good trade relations with the Afghanistan government.
Absolutely incredible. Now, it's interesting you mention it. I mean, it almost seems like there's a caste, and because I'd like to talk about that too, kind of caste system within Islam. I mean, not officially, not like it exists in India maybe, but sort of.
Yeah.
Maybe you can tell the audience a little bit about the caste system in India, which is still present.
So do we talk about the Hindu caste system or the Islamic? No, we have talked about Islamic, so let's focus on Hindu caste system. Okay.
Yeah.
So let's proceed. And going back to history, the caste system was such that the people were divided according to the work that they did. So this was nothing compared to a hereditary thing that most British books teach about. So even now, for example, there were 4 classes. I will name them. The first one was the priest. The second were the warriors who fought wars and were in the army, and this consisted of even the kings. The third class was the merchants and traders. And the fourth class consisted of peasants, which were artists, painters, or pottery makers, for that matter. But when British came to India, they saw a chance to divide Hindus according to these caste systems, and these systems basically depended on what work you do. Like, for example, if I am a priest's son, it doesn't necessarily makes me priest. I have to learn that, what do we call it?
Scriptures or?
That scriptures, or master that knowledge. Yeah, so it is not necessary that I should be a priest if I am born in a priest family. If I carry out a work, or for example, I become a painter and my dad is a priest, that means I'm considered in the fourth class. Are you getting what I'm trying to say? So yeah. It was divided according to the work that was done by an individual. Because in history, we even have a priest, a Hindu priest, whose name is Kabir, and he was Muslim religiously. We consider him a Hindu priest. Why? Because he acquired the knowledge. We also have priests who were Dalits, who were born in Dalit families. So this is something that came from what work you took in your life, and in that way the system was divided into 4 parts. But when the British came to India, especially a guy named Max Muller, he never came to India, but he has edited each and every text of Hindu text of India, which if you read, you will literally, literally spit on the religion. But in reality, the Hindu religion and the Indian civilization is always looked upon by those who read it correctly. That is what I think.
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly. I mean, there was a pretty rich Indian civilization, particularly in Indus
Yes.
Valley. I mean, what is it?
I'll give you
4,000
one
years?
more example of the richness of the civilization. There was a Islamic invader named Mahmud Ghazni. He invaded just a single temple. He looted, I mean, just a single temple 17 times. He came to India 17 times just to get the wealth from a single temple, which is in Gujarat. Its name is Somnath. So for that, only just one temple. So you can imagine how much wealth will there be in the whole country if just one single temple is being looted 17 times by a invader from these Arabs.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Now, you mentioned before, relation to the divorce thing with women. I think one thing the audience probably would be interested in, I am too, is just how quickly feminism has sort of caught fire in India. We hear about the trains, we hear about this incident in the prison. What exactly? And you said you're sort of MGTOW, so what exactly is going on there with women? It seems like it's worse than the United States.
Statistic is that so the recent statistic is that 53% of rape cases which are registered in police stations are false. So this is what tells you that how women are using the law against men. And one more thing regarding the divorce rates, I would say, the capital city of India, which is Delhi, had 2 courts 16 years back, 2 divorce courts. Today in Delhi, there are 18 divorce courts, and the divorce economy is booming because India is highly populated. So you can imagine the divorce rates will rise rapidly, or anything for that matter will rise or go down rapidly in such a populous country.
Yeah, but I mean, this seems. I mean, but
Yeah.
this rate, which seems almost unique to India, the speed of it. I mean, what is it about Indian society that has allowed, in your opinion, feminism, for example, to take such a strong root there, and why is it such a strong force? I mean, you don't really. I mean, it exists everywhere.
Just one thing. Yeah, it comes down to just one thing, and that is the tolerance of Hindu civilization. We allow everyone to come and go, but at the same time, the problem of the Hindus is that they they compromise their religious security in for the benefit of the country. Like now, this westernization and feminism is looked upon as a development in India. But at the same time, there are some bad consequences like these rising divorce rates and plus the false rape allegations.
Yeah.
And all this is preached by Hollywood, and there's one more Indian industry which is called Bollywood, which has been in collaboration with the Westerners, and they are raiding their propaganda throughout the country. And most of the men are involved in romance and love shit.
Yeah.
They are becoming college dropouts because of these women. And so even if the population of India is 70%, 70% of population of India is below the age of 35. So we have a good working population that can increase the growth rate by 12%, the economic growth rate by 12%, or even more than China. Because in China, the percent is only 40 to 35% of people are below the age of 35 because of their one-child policy. And on the other side, India is capable, but India is indulging in, false activities, I would say. which are hindering the growth as well as the prosperity of this country.
Yeah. I mean, how much is Bollywood these days a reflection of Hollywood? I mean, I've heard a lot about Bollywood. I've heard
Yeah.
different interpretations. Some people say it's a reflection of Indian culture. Some people say it's
Mm.
been infected by the West. I mean, what's your interpretation of that?
See, there are two sides to everything. Now, I don't curse Bollywood for each and everything, but when it comes to spreading westernization and stuff, the Indian public is more interested in Western stuff if it is promoted. Because I've seen good movies which are about freedom fighters or, good artists or a good, there was a documentary on the 1999 war between India and Pakistan, which is called a Kargil War.
Hmm.
So these movies are being rated as flop, and movies which consist of adult stuff, I
Yeah.
would say, yeah, filthy stuff. So these movies are rated as hits because people go and watch these movies more than the productive kind of stuff which I believe in. And like I said, I'm some kind of a MGTOW. So these movies, which are actually beneficial, are neglected by the Indian public, and that needs to be corrected through some spiritual awakening, I would say, or at least a logical understanding of succeeding as a country or as an individual to each and every Indian, not only Indian but each and every person for that matter.
Hmm.
Because sex is today everywhere, but not in the bedroom.
Yeah.
If I'm not, yeah,
Yeah, that's fairly true. Yeah.
yeah, that's what.
So, I mean, you say you're
And
sort of big time. I'm curious about that. What exactly is your position on that?
see, what I believe is that uh, now I'm just 20 years old, roughly 20. Now I'll complete my graduation next year. So I personally believe that before I go completely MGTOW, and the Indian culture and Hinduism contradicts my MGTOW theories in a way that I feel that if there is a kind of the past, the past in which men and women lived together, and there were almost no divorces happening in the past. If you look in the context of India or any other Eastern country for that matter, even the West was, I guess, they were more, loyal when it comes to marriage. They married and they stayed together more than they are today. And social media has also, inflicted this thing in a
Uh,
cancerous way. Social
I'd
media,
agree with you to a certain extent, but a lot of this, I mean, you must have watched some of my videos, has a lot to do with industrialization. I mean, people in the
yeah,
past stayed together because women were dependent on a man's labor. Now, in a society with a big government and social programs and benefits, those things don't exist anymore. So,
yes,
of course, you know.
yes,
So I mean, it's a combination of a lot of things, but I don't think you can reduce it down to just to social media. Of course, that's an element, but I think
yeah,
it's the fact that the world has transformed. It's no longer, 300 years ago when pre-industrialization, specifically 300 years
yeah,
ago, where these weren't options. So of course the woman stayed with the
yeah,
man. Now what do we see in every country? Women initiating divorce the majority of the time, 60, 75% of the time. Um, and I've done, I've had made videos about this, various videos in the past that, so you look at a place like
yeah,
China, you can see in the urban areas divorce rate incredibly high, but you go to the
yeah,
rural
going up,
areas, they stay together. Well, why? Because the woman is dependent on the man. So I mean,
yeah.
I don't really know a good corrective mechanism for this because obviously there are a lot of people who think this is just
I think
merely.
I think MGTOW is the only way. When I look at articles like this, which you are talking about, I've read articles on this thing,
Hmm,
and I've even listened to these things in some of your videos as well.
hmm,
So what I figured out is that for a solution to this problem, it is just going your own way. No, I don't see any other, a plan B for this phenomenon. Otherwise, you'll have to live in misery throughout your life. So,
Yeah, I mean,
going
I
into,
think
yeah,
I agree with you. I mean, for the
a
individual
MGTOW
man,
lifestyle, a MGTOW lifestyle would be beneficial than being a, divorced man and living in those, those perfect girl thoughts for the rest of your life.
it's just too
Mm.
risky. I mean, for the individual man, I don't really see too many other
And
options.
plus it is a one-way ticket. You once you are married, the same the same thrill that a man has inside him, the boosting testosterone a man has when he's career oriented and he focuses on being the best he can be. After marriage, a man stops looking at himself and he's committed to the family and suddenly he's divorced. So, that's something that hinders his growth as well as if, if men don't work to their potential, this will indirectly harm the economy as well as the civilization altogether.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. I mean, it's such a massive problem, but I mean, for certainly on the individual level, there isn't much you can do apart from going your own way, just because
Yeah, that's what.
it's far too risky to get involved in a marriage these days. Really, almost any country, especially in the West, but certainly in India, the amount of power women have over men in India seems ridiculous. So it's almost like
Yes,
suicide. It's kind of social suicide to get married in India and commit yourself to these things. I
yes, true, true.
you know it's insane, and I don't really see a good solution. I mean, if we talk about the macro level, so demographically, and obviously, if you're going your own way, you're not going to get married, you're not going to have kids. This long term is a problem, but you know,
Yeah,
I don't really know what the solution is because so much of this is due to modernization, industrialization, and
yeah,
the social media, of course, which exists in a kind of a symbiosis. There's a symbiotic
yeah,
relationship there. So it's a
yeah.
really difficult problem. I mean, on an individual level, I think it's fairly easy, but it's the micro level is easy, the macro level not so easy, I think.
And what I've noticed is that when an individual, for that matter, when a man goes his own way, and there are rising men going their own way, what happens is that women start to surrender to this phenomenon because women cannot live without, they cannot live without men because they don't have the potential to, work
No, but women
till
don't
their,
achieve, women don't build civilization.
that's what, yeah,
They benefit from men's labor and intellect
yeah.
and engagement. That's true. I mean, long term,
Even if they work, they cannot, they cannot handle the corporate pressure that is today.
well,
Today,
yeah, and they can't build
yeah,
buildings, and frankly speaking, they don't have the same level of intellect and innovation usually that
in
men do.
anything. Yeah.
Yeah, so
Like women are good at the conventional academics or the what is taught in universities,
yeah,
like to copy paste things.
yeah, they're
They're good
really
at
good
it.
at that. They're good at
But to create
memorizing
something,
things.
yeah,
Yeah.
but to create something, they lack the the creativity and intelligence.
I'd say
Uh,
usually that's true in most cases, and even the ones that do have it aren't very motivated to use their full potential. So I think long term there won't be much of a choice because if women want civilization to continue, then they will have to rely on men's superior
yes.
ingenuity,
They will
creativity,
eventually
engagement.
surrender. If men wake up sooner or later, I believe women will surrender because they don't have any option. Like in today's, we don't have any option rather than going our own way. In the same way, when we go our own way, women will not have any other option but to surrender. That is what I feel.
It will take a long time though. I don't see this
Yeah.
happening
I
in
don't
the
see
next
this happening
year.
in my lifetime.
And you're
I don't
and
see that.
you're 20 years younger than I am, so yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It's incredible, yeah. But yeah, it will take a long time. But I totally agree with you. On the individual level, there isn't much choice. I mean, I
Yeah.
don't. If some guy wants to get married, and this is my official policy. if I know some guy and he actually asks me, what do you think? I'll be honest. I'll tell him, my opinion and what I think. But I'm not going to say, if I'm not going to, try to hold him down. If he wants to get married, he can get married. And I actually have some friends that they got married despite the fact that I warned them. I said don't do it. But I mean,
Yeah.
people are going to do what they're going to do. But certainly for the individual man, that is the best choice because it's just too risky. Yeah.
Yeah. And before we proceed further, I just want your perspective. Like, I want to ask you a question, if you don't mind.
Sure, sure, sure.
Yeah. Yeah. So the only reason that stops me from going MGTOW is my family and my culture. It is why because see, in the Indian society, we always give first preference to our mother and father.
Yeah.
And when they tell me in future, like for 5-6 years from now, when I'm waiting for that day, when they tell me that you have to get married, and there are arranged marriages in India, which are you don't know the women, but you get in touch with her for a month, and then the family as well as the individuals decide whether to marry or not. So in that case, I'm a bit confused. Like, what should I prefer? Or how do I convince them? Or what would be a solution to that particular day? Like, that question is going on in my mind,
Yeah.
which is the
Well,
only question that stops me from becoming MGTOW
I
completely.
think it's a really difficult situation because I come from a completely different culture and background. And I think you're not the first person I've heard from India, a man from India, to
Yeah,
have that question. I've heard it before. I
yeah,
mean, I suppose it really comes down to how much you're willing to conform to the cultural expectations that are put on you and how much you're willing to rebel against them. Because obviously,
mm,
if you rebel against them, there will be consequences. On the other hand, for you as an individual, if you conform, let's say you agree to your parents' wishes, you arrange marriage, something like that. I mean, you know what the potential consequences of that are. But I think this is. I mean, this is the problem. It's so hard for me to give you advice because I'm not Indian, but I'm familiar
yeah,
with the situation. But I think for me, I don't want to. This don't take this as advice. I'm not saying you do this, but
yeah. It
for
is just
me,
your opinion.
right. For me as Stardust, the most important thing in my life is my freedom. The fact that I can, wake up on a Sunday or Saturday and I don't have some woman saying, "Oh, you need to take out the garbage." This, it's a very petty example, but
Correct.
the freedom to do what I want to do when I have my free time is, it's precious. So I probably, if I were Indian living there, I probably would say, look, I understand your wishes and I understand your concerns, but these are the things that are important to me. And you have to understand the situation in society. I mean, look around you, what's happening with marriage, and I think that's basically what if I were in your situation, I probably would do that. Yeah.
Yeah. The thing is that I have even tried to show these statistics of the divorce cases and the rising feminism and how it is affecting men. I have shown this to my parents in particular, and I still show them. So they don't say me in future that you didn't tell us that all this is going on, and we are not someone like you who is engaged with the internet, because yeah, these elders in India, they are not having that access to internet that we have, because they are technology has went further to my parents, because they have become older, and they don't understand this technology completely, so they don't have access to all these things that I have. But I do my best to show them what is going on, and I believe that maybe sooner or later they will understand my concerns, and they will act according to it, because now I'm going a bit personal, but my parents don't really, don't rebel against me. They try to understand. They have always tried to understand my concerns. But the topic is also, the topic of marriage is also a bit crucial. So I'm just confused that I don't know what will happen in future. But for now, I've been following majority of things like self-improvement, reading books, and also even if I go for a movie or two, I just before I go, I look at it as something that I will be learning from it.
Well, I got to
I
say,
don't
for
go
your age, you're
for
very articulate and you're very knowledgeable. Clearly, I mean, someone who's 20. I mean, I
yeah,
don't know if you're representative for most Indians. I would doubt it, but I mean, you compare the typical 20-year-old American. This guy is a
yeah.
moron who can barely put one sentence together. Probably doesn't even
Like
know
I
any.
have a lot of haters because I have my supporters as well, but I have a lot of haters that that say that no, why are you going your own way? You should enjoy a woman's company, or for that matter, why don't you socialize daily? I don't socialize daily. I've read the book of The Book and the Mill, and I've also listened to the videos of Truth Over Everything. If you recognize that guy, now he's not on the internet, but his videos are still there. So I've heard about them, and what they have said is that even if you socialize, for that matter, there must be something to learn, or an experience that you could carry on in your life further and improve yourself as well as others, especially other men, because civilizations grow when you participate as a group rather than an individual. That is
That
what I believe,
is
and
that is
that is
true.
what I'm up to and looking forward to.
Yeah, I mean, honestly, we need more, whatever the country might be. We need more young men who are aware of these things, who are literate about history and politics, and because it'd be great if
Yeah.
more Indian men were like this. Because I don't really have much hope in the United States or places like Europe. But
Yeah. No, I'll tell you my own channel statistics. Like I've said, I have a small YouTube channel with
mhm.
roughly 300 subscribers.
I can post a link in
But
the low bar. Yeah,
yes,
I'll do that.
yes, and I've named that channel as Truth Over Everything, for that matter. But I've put some spaces in between, and I've
Mhm.
mentioned that I'm not that guy. But
Mhm.
yes, I'm a follower of him, and he himself preached that if someone is willing to carry out his message, no matter what, he can go forward.
Yeah.
So for that matter, when I go into my channel statistics, I've got roughly 30,000 views, I guess. So in that, the audience list that is listed according to the countries I see. So in that list, only 2.5% of Indian population has watched my videos, and most of the video viewers are from the West, and most of my videos, which are concerned about Indian women and the changing nature of women in India, are the most watched videos by the Westerners. So
Mhm.
I believe that the MGTOW phenomenon has not totally entered into India, although there are Indians who have commented in my videos who are proud that I've taken up this initiative
Mhm.
to create some kind of awareness. Still, I don't see Indians indulging as a rising group of MGTOWs in
Well, I
today's
think, and I
society.
think for the reasons you've already cited, it's a very hierarchical society. There's a caste system, very traditional.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
that would all be great if it weren't for the rise of feminism and all this other stuff happening there. Because if women have all this power, all the tradition in the world won't help.
yeah. No, see, the thing is that now you came back to this thing called caste system.
Mm.
The Smriti, which consists of this caste system, it is a book of law which is created by the the priest class of the Hindu society. And if you read the original text, I mean original ones, not the edited ones, if you read the original text, you will realize that the modern day constitutions, which most of the Western states have, existed back to, I would say, the first constitution would be in the era of the Mauryan Empire, which was existed in 500 BC. So you just believe that the modern nation state theory was already in India before Christ.
Yeah.
500 BC. Yeah. So that is what, boggles me, because we have all that we need to even be a superpower in modern times. But some of these, poison that has been filtered into the Indian society by the Islamists, the British, you name it, even the people who today in modern day play politics on caste, caste-based politics. They say that you are a lower caste people. You do one thing, you vote for me, and I'll give you rights, I'll give you reservations, I'll make your life, I will fill your life with prosperity. I'll do everything for you. This is how they play caste-based politics. They even play religion-based politics, but that is mostly with the Muslim people, because even there are Hindu parties in India, but no Hindu supports them because we believe in development.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah, I mean, and India is one of these countries, I think, there are some great predictions about, what's going to happen there. You have the second biggest population in the world, but I think maybe at the end...
most number of people who are, capable of working, like I mentioned, 70% of population out of 120 crore is below the age of 35. So we have got good, educated people who can, take the economy and the country to the next level. But there must be something like a plan that needs to be implemented, and people should also follow that. Because what happens is, if a government comes up with a plan, half of the population starts rebelling. They say that it's intolerance and their rights are being taken off. But, if you want your this is a message to, if any Indian is going to listen to it, this is a message to you, my friend. If you want your country to succeed, please first focus on development, and for that matter, focus on your self-development. Don't even focus on your country, but at least focus that you have to develop the land which you live in. You should respect it. And for that matter, you have to work. You cannot complain each and every time like you are a junior KG student, complaining about everything.
Well,
that's the message. Yeah.
I mean, you get a lot of that in the West. Really interesting stuff, particularly stuff about Islam and feminism. And I think for those of the people who aren't Indian, and that probably be the majority of people listening to this, I mean, the story about Islam and the brief history of Islam in India and Pakistan really shows you that, I mean, there's that expression, you give somebody an inch, they take a mile, You can't allow Islam to fester and take root in the West, because if it does become even half the population, I have no doubt they'll try to wipe out the Europeans.
Yeah. One more thing I wanted to point out, as you came back to Islam, I want to tell that in 712 AD, in the year 712 AD, the first invader who was able to capture the lands of India, which are now in Pakistan for that matter, but that is when the first foreign invaders came to India. Before that, only Alexander was able to come to India, but in 712, a Muslim invader named Muhammad bin Qasim came to India, He assassinated the King Dahir, which I told you back when I was mentioning about Prophet's family. He came for killing the Prophet. He was a Sunni Muslim who came in search of the Prophet's family to India. He assassinated Prophet's family. He also assassinated the king, and from that point the Islamic rule started in India. The Muslim kings came to India from that time, and the British, when they came into the picture, Muslim kings ruled for maybe 1,000 years in India, from 700 to 1757. Muslim kings have ruled the capital of India, which is Delhi. And it is also called Delhi Sultanate, which I am studying about. So they have ruled for 1,000 years, and they have ruled over Hindu population for 1,000 years. So the country Pakistan, they assume that we are their slaves, and they are still till today they are trying to they are trying to recapture Delhi and establish their sultanate, which is also known as caliphate for that matter. They want to succeed in that plan. That is their only goal, why they are still attacking India. So the country Pakistan is a country which wants to, re-establish their dominance, which was back then in the Mughal era or the Sultanate era, thousands of years back. Yeah. That's their agenda, and their agenda needs to be crushed. Now the current government is working on disintegration of Pakistan. India has lifted the issue of Balochistan, how it was forcefully captured by the Pakistan army in 1948. After 1 year of independence of the country of Balochistan, the state of Kalat, which is in Balochistan, it was an independent country. And after the Pakistan army invaded it and captured it, they lost their independence, and they are each and every day they are killing Balochi people, like the local people of that province. They are killing them. They are committing rapes, crimes. They are killing children. So that issue has been lifted by India in the United Nations General Assembly, and the current government has got an opportunity after a 60-year rule of Congress.
No.
For the first time, there is a party which has no support from Congress, and they are working on a good plan. You must have heard of the Indian Prime Minister Narendra Modi.
Yeah.
He has. What's your opinion on him?
Well, heard of him is one thing. Being very familiar with all his politics is another. I because I'm not intimately familiar with all the politics going on there, I don't feel qualified to comment on what I think about him. But maybe a better question is, what do Indian people think about him? What do you think about him?
See, what I think about him is there has been a change of power in the country for the first time, because like I said, this government won with full majority and has no connections with the Congress. That is why Congress has been freaking out on these people. Now, after 1,500 years, India has successfully committed a surgical strike on Pakistan, in which they were able to assassinate almost 200 terrorists entering the areas of Pakistan in a late night scenario. And why this surgical strike happened was because Pakistan ceasefire and sent their terrorists into India and they have killed 15 to 18 Indian soldiers. And in retaliation to what Pakistan committed, India proposed the surgical strike. And after doing the surgical strike, the Congress government says that it is unethical. India has become intolerant. And you tell me, what is intolerance? If 15 to 20 soldiers of our own country have been killed, we should retaliate. That's the only way you can survive as a country. If you just keep taking blows from Pakistan, from 70 years since independence. How is it possible that you will survive?
Well, I mean, I guess this is also something that potentially could concern people who are not Indian or don't live there. I mean, the world for a long time, I think even now, is worried about the relationship between Pakistan and India. Well, I guess.
To put this in a short, to put this in a nutshell, I would say that India has become aggressive in its international politics because we are engaging in ties with Russia, we are engaging in ties with the USA, and we have also good trade relations with China, which have been affected because China has been vetoing our demand of considering that Masood Azhar, the terrorist of Pakistan. We want to declare him as an international terrorist in the UN, and China is vetoing that thing. That is why we have these clashes with China about the boycotting of trade. Now, even my family has stopped buying anything that is from China. We always check the label before we buy, and this is even affecting our local people. But now, people have, the production in India has increased because the demand for Indian goods has increased. This is a good thing. That is what I believe.
Yeah, I mean, certainly any pushback against Islam is, I think, a good thing. And if there are other consequences that accompany that, well, I guess we'll just have to accept that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you must have even heard of the speech by Donald Trump, in which he said that Modi is my, he said that. He said it in some Hindu type of, population. The
Yeah.
majority of people were Hindu. So it was basically for politics. But what he said was that Narendra Modi is his best friend, and he looks forward to work with Narendra Modi. And I saw this Donald Trump and Hillary video, and even you believe that Hillary has connections with ISIS, the Huma Abedin, I guess that's her name.
Yeah.
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 So yeah,
Yeah.
I've been studying that as well. So it is better in terms of if Donald Trump comes to power, it is beneficial for good relations with USA. India and USA relations would be better if Donald Trump comes. But at the same time, if Hillary comes, she will again go back to Pakistan. She will start aiding them again, just because they think the US thinks that Pakistan is very poor and the Taliban is ruling everything. It is true that Taliban is ruling everything in Pakistan, but at the same time, the government is only funding the terrorists. So if you aid the government, they'll eventually give that money to terrorists.
I mean, I personally think that
Yeah.
long term, short term, it's in America's interest to have a more favorable position towards India.
America is a selfish guy.
Just because you have you have fewer Muslims in India. I mean, I think that should be the general policy. The country and the leadership should support people or countries that do not have large Muslim populations over other countries that do. I mean, I'm happy about the prospect, for example, of a friendlier relationship with Russia, which has been very frosty. It hasn't been very good.
Russia has always helped India. In 1971 war, when Bangladesh was created, separating Pakistan from, Bangladesh from Pakistan, which happened in 1971, Russians were the one who helped us. And Pakistan demanded this United States to take action against India. And the British fleet or United States fleet was in the Arabian Sea, just 200 miles from the borders of India. During that situation, Russian submarines were sent into the Bay of Bengal near Bangladesh to protect the Indian interest, and as well as there was a democratic revolution in Bangladesh because Pakistanis were killing Bangladeshis, even Muslims. They were not swearing Muslims. Why they were killing Muslims? Because their color was dark. Like I said, their color was dark. They were short, and they didn't speak Urdu. The national language of Bangladesh is Bengali, which is an Indian language.
Yeah.
And in 1905, the state of Bengal was divided into two parts. The eastern part went to Muslim dominance, and the western part, which is in India now, which is Bengal, was Hindu majority. So the Muslim majority part, which is today Bangladesh, is actually, their national language is an Indian language, for that matter. So that is why they were committing mass murders in Bangladesh. Almost 30 lakh, 3 million people were killed in Bangladesh during 1965 and 71, between 65 and 71. That is why India helped Bangladesh, like it is going to help Balochistan, and it is going to liberate Balochistan as well. And I believe in this government. Plus, I believe in my people. Like, we should also show some support, and we should also speak. Like I am speaking on the issue of Balochistan. I believe each and every Indian should speak, because I believe I am speaking the truth. And truth can be spoken by anyone who believes in it.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, really, just a lot, really interesting. But I am conscious of the fact that you have a paper that I think you need to do on, or it's an examination on Monday.
I have. Yeah.
So you probably need to get back to studying, I would imagine.
I would, but I've prepared. No worries about that.
Okay.
But if we can conclude this thing off, I don't have any problem, because I believe we can have a conversation in future as well.
Oh, certainly, I agree. We definitely can. And I have to apologize. I mean, I know something of India's history. I wish I could have been more conversive on the subject matter.
I would appeal your audience to please, to please refer to this Indian history and a bit of culture. If they are interested, they should go back and, because I have seen a lot of, the most rising religion in Russia. What is it? It is Hinduism. Hinduism is on a rise in Russia. If you are following some news about that country, you'll come to know that Hinduism is flourishing in Russia. We have Russians coming to India, and they are, they are with the organizations of the gurus, of Hindu gurus, who preach Hinduism, because they believe that to get a peace of mind and spirituality, even if you earn tons of money, you need that, that happiness, that you can go back home and have a pleasant sleep. Even that is something that is important than money. So for that matter, from all over the world, people have come. Even the actress Julia Roberts, you must have heard about her.
Sure.
Yes, Julia Roberts, she converted herself to Hinduism. Her full family is Hindu. She came to India, and she came in contact with a guru, a Hindu guru. And after she spent some couple of months in India, she had a press conference, and in that press conference she said that from today, me and my family is Hindu, because this religion teaches about spirituality and peace of mind.
Yeah.
So if anyone is looking for such thing, to just get your mind relaxed, and because we are living in an industrialized world where there is a lot of stress that each and everyone is facing. So if anyone is interested, so he should refer to some of the Hindu history or culture that would help them in their day-to-day life.
Okay.
What's better than that?
And I'll post a link to your channel. It's Truth Over Everything, right?
Yeah, right.
Okay, excellent. All right, well, thank you for joining me and essentially educating us on some of these issues concerning India. Great opportunity to talk about a country that I didn't think I would have the opportunity to address. And I'd definitely like to get you on in the future. Perhaps if I can get more specific issues pertaining to India, that would be really great. So thank you for joining me, and thank you to the audience for tuning in.
Yeah, and, thank you all. Thank you all for bearing with me, and I hope I was helpful regarding the issue of India, and I was able to give you some couple of insights of this country, which would help you even if you visit India for the sake of for like a tour visit. as a tourist, some facts would help you out. So thank you for the time. Thank you for the time, brother. Peace out.
My pleasure. If you liked this video, please like, share, and subscribe. And if you enjoy my content, please consider making a donation or becoming a patron. Thanks for watching.